DevOps is a foreign language, or why there are no junior SREs with Josh Lee. Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Hey, Chris. I'm
Yay,
doing
we're
pretty
here.
well. Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the V. Is it vBrownBag? Is it the vBrownBag? We've been doing this for 15 years and we've never figured this out. Damien, call it now.
vBrownBag.
Welcome to vBrownBag, where we talk to luminaries, geniuses, telemetry aficionados out in the field doing the things, making the hard choices so that we can learn from all their mistakes. Hold on, bigger faces. Hey, bigger faces, how are we doing tonight?
Doing well.
All right. I've actually been waiting for this one for a hot minute because I met Josh. Josh, you and I met at Red Hat conference. We had known of each other from the things and seen each other peripherally through community and whatnot, but we never like face to face until Red Hat. And you had a really super fun telemetry talk there. One of the first ones, jam packed, by the way. Congratulations!
Thanks.
And we talked about getting you on the VBB. So welcome to the show. Happy to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've also been looking forward to this. It's really exciting to be here.
And we're like right across the street from each other. You're a stone's throw away down in Ye Olde, Massachusetts. I'm up here in New Hampshire.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, nothing.
You and your
Yeah,
small states, so adorable.
they're tiny. They're very
Yeah.
yeah. And Damien, how are you down in big old Texas? Let's talk about your big state.
You know what? I have a lot of mixed feelings about Texas, but we're in the full throes of summer. It is warm. We've had a crazy amount of rain. Really crazy things have happened here from a national news perspective related to that rain. Uh,
Yes.
and I really actually didn't intend to head that direction, but yeah, it's you know what, Texas, despite the horrors that Texas inflicts on itself, it continues existing. So,
Is it less than or greater than 100 degrees there right now?
oh, less than, let
Less. Okay.
less
All right.
than,
Well,
yeah, it's yeah,
the last time
but
I drove through Texas, somebody said, "Be careful because if you leave your car parked on the asphalt too long, it'll melt into your tires." And I was like, "You're yeah, that's a joke. You're kidding, right?" And they're like, "No," and they give me the serious face. So is it true? Is that a thing that can happen, or were they pulling my leg?
I think they were pulling your leg. I've never heard of car tires melting. Isn't that
No,
why they're vulcanized?
no, no, no. The asphalt getting soft because of the heat, and the
Oh,
cars sinking into the asphalt, not melting the tires.
I
That
bet that's a
happens.
thing. I bet
That
that's
does
a thing. Yeah,
that does happen, Shaw?
That happens. Yeah.
but it's not
So,
like a
yeah.
regular concern.
No. It's when we're having like extreme heat and droughts.
Yes.
But yeah, that part's a little bit true. Like you can,
Wow.
walk outside and like the asphalt would stick to your foot type thing. Like not a lot, but anyways. Hey,
So if you
Uh,
act, hey Shala, welcome back. I wasn't sure if you're going to make the day. We were very excited to hear that you were back from California and you're going to be talking at HashiConf. What?
I am. Yeah, sorry everybody. I like ghosted everybody. Like the fandom. So what's up, Gifted Guild, if you're watching. I am off hiatus. I had to take a mental break. That's just what it is.
Perfectly legit. I should actually. I'm actually going to be taking a bit of a mental break next week when I go under the knife. I will be using that time to take good pain killing drugs and I, I mean legal pain killing drugs, of course,
Mhm.
and maybe get a little bit of studying in that I haven't been able to get done with. So welcome back. How was California?
Oh, it was great. I took time to just, first off, shout out to my family for being super supportive. Just super quick rundown. Being an only child equals being the primary caretaker for my parents and grandparents and others,
Mm,
and they're all getting older.
mm,
And yeah, it's a lot. And then work is a lot or was a lot. Being, a woman in black in tech, blah
mm,
blah blah.
mm.
So and I wanting to look dumb and all these kind of things. So, anyways, family was super supportive, let me run away for basically a month and some change, where I was just like, yo, I'm taking off, I'll be back. and did that. Got to do some self reflecting to just kind of like quiet everything, as well as when it comes to like gifted lane and stuff like that, and some other ventures I'm starting out with, taking time to make sure I am not losing sight of what is important, like why I started in the first place. So it's getting
Mhm.
back to making sure it's about being authentic and honest, and
Mm.
it's not about chasing numbers or anything like that. So yeah, but yeah, I'm back, and yes, I will
Yay!
be talking. I'll be talking at HashiConf. I'll get some more stuff together so I can share with everybody. But basically, my presentation is going to be with DevOps without the O moments, whatever you want to fill in the blank with.
Oh,
Nice.
the oh blank moments.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh, corny dogs. That's what my mother-in-law says. She doesn't swear. She says corny dog. That is her that
Oh,
is her
okay.
her WTAF is oh corny dogs.
Huh.
I just curse in Korean and then no one knows what I'm saying.
Aren't
Usually.
aren't you the same two people that gave me shit for calling somebody a banana head the other week? I vaguely remember that. So kiss my butt. Josh, back
Wow.
to you.
Cheers.
Speaking of DevOps and the O's in DevOps, Joshua,
Yeah.
um, when we had this discussion on the topic and the title, I loved it. I love it, by the way. DevOps is a foreign language, or why there are no junior SREs. I have so many hot takes and opinions about this, but I am dying to see I'm dying to get your presentation on this and your thoughts on this. So do you have did you have a screen share that you wanted to share?
I don't have a screen share. I mean, yeah, I could pull up the slides. This is a presentation that I do often. But without slides, right? Just sort of broadly speaking,
Hmm.
the presentation is about so some background. I majored in linguistics in my incomplete college degree,
Oh wow.
um, and specifically in second language acquisition. So this is the process through which adults learn languages that are not their native languages. So
Okay.
it's called second language acquisition. It might be your third or fourth language, but yeah. And basically, we don't teach adults languages well, and so there's this whole field that kind of studies how to do it better and how we can teach adults better, blending psychology and linguistics and sociology. And one of the things I've noticed about DevOps is that there's sort of these layers and layers and layers of abstraction and tools. And the longer that I've been in the industry, the more layers we've added. We've never really compacted any of the layers. And so there's just more and more stuff that you need to understand now.
Hmm.
And one of the concepts that comes from this field of second language acquisition is it's called the input hypothesis. And so there's 5 different sub hypotheses, and I can pull up my slides and dive into each one. But the overarching one is called the comprehensible input hypothesis, or the I+1 hypothesis. So
Okay.
basically, if I give you a sentence and it's 80% words that you understand already and 20% words that are new to you, you're going to be able to fill in the blanks and figure out what those new words mean, right? But if I just give you a sentence in a language that you've never seen before, um, and you know none of the words, you're not going to be able to fill in any blanks. It's just going to be a random collection of letters and words to you.
Hmm.
So that kind of when you look at the depth of the stack, combined with the fact that the less you understand relative to the total body of things to understand, the harder it is to acquire each piece of knowledge, right?
Hmm.
So the more things you know, the easier it is to integrate each new little piece of knowledge. And so we built this huge monolithic stack of knowledge that's required in order to operate in this field. And we've made it very difficult to chip away at that monolith. Um, so that's sort of the core of the talk.
Okay. Um, it does that. So I have. Well, actually, how do we want to do this? Because I have immediately have 17 questions about just your statement there.
Sure.
Do you want to speak to the slides? Do you want to do like a mini version of the presentation and then
Let's
go
see if
from
I
there?
yeah,
Or
let me pull it up and see if I can do like a 5-minute version of it, because I
okay,
think it
cool.
might clarify some of the questions and maybe even inspire more.
So Charlotte, while you were taking your break, did you what kind of fun things did you do that were non-technically related, or were they technically related? Like you spent 3 weeks
Um,
off, and I'm dying to know like what kind of things you're
yes,
up to. Or-
actually, yeah, actually it took longer, but
Hmm,
I extended it. But so one tech thing that I did came out super, super awesome. I'm going to get ready to put that together, make it make sense. It'll be what I'm presenting on at HashiConf and share it with the community. But using AI, I have a new tool. It's called Windsurf that I've been using. And I created something really slick, but I'll get into that later. But non-tech stuff, so the Bay Area is second home to me. I've lived there. I have family there. I have friends there. I go there all the time.
oh, nice.
So I went, yeah, so I went there as a local. So like even when friends were hitting me up, thank you, Gifted Guild, for also reaching out to me, making sure, I was good because I just like ghosted everybody.
Hmm,
Um, but yeah, one of the things I did since I had time for myself, I ate my way through San Francisco. I'll share vlogging of that where I know all the great hot chocolate spots, stuff like that. And I did Pilates for the first time with machines. Like I've always done Pilates, like, where you just use like no equipment.
right.
But while I was there, I found a cute little Pilates studio, learned how to use the machines. And so now I'm like super all in into Pilates. Does the body great along with weightlifting. So yeah.
Nice. All right. We'll talk more about that later. Back to DevOps.
Yes.
I found it, and I forgot StreamYard has this awesome integration. It's so great. I don't even have to share my screen.
Isn't it
Uh,
awesome? Yeah.
yeah, love StreamYard. Okay, so it's raining cats and dogs. The interesting thing about this idiom here, sort of getting back to the core thesis of the talk, right? Uh, None of the forms of the right, like the form of this sentence, doesn't give you any of the meaning. These words in any other order don't mean what this sentence means, right? So there's sort of this like cultural complexity, and there's a lot of stuff that's like sort of embedded in languages that's not something that you can just easily look up in a dictionary.
Mhm.
And I kind of think, right, that our programming languages and our DevOps tools are kind of the same way. We have these like cultural norms and like memes almost that are perpetuated and that we sort of all are familiar with, but you can't look them up. And you just have to learn them sort of from hard experience and from repeated exposure. Um, and
That would be me.
yeah, yeah, and there's like right, there's no manual, and you're trying to learn this stuff, right? And people are like, go look at the manual, and you're like, okay, the manual tells me like what each one of these function does. Great, why would it, right? Like, give me the why, give me the bigger picture, and it's
I'm
not
still
there.
Mhm.
stuck here, like looking at a blank screen. Like that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's horrible. So we're doing everyone a disservice. DevOps is really, really complicated. It's a big, complex system. Languages are also really, really big, messy, complex systems. They're also right? They're not actually something that's like static that you can just capture in a dictionary. They're sort of always evolving and changing based on the people who are using them. And they're a way to actually encode a lot of this cultural knowledge and these values and pass it on to future generations. So there's a lot of baggage in a language that's not ever going to make its way into a dictionary. Human brains really, really good at learning languages until puberty, and then there's like a switch in our brain that clicks off and we just can't do it anymore without a little bit of explicit instruction. So children will learn, they don't need to be taught, right? Like they'll just learn from exposure. As adults, we need like a little bit of explicit instruction. um, Second language acquisition is the field that I studied, right? That blends sort of these things: sociology, psychology, linguistics, and neurology, and tries to answer that question of like, how can we teach adults second languages better? How do adults learn second languages most efficiently? So how's this relevant to software, right? Really driving home the similarities here. What command do I use to see what version of Docker is installed? I'm guessing all three of you know, right? Or can guess.
Is
Docker
it
dash
like
V.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Docker-v is what I would try first, right? Docker dash
Or
dash
version and
version,
V
right?
doesn't work.
Right,
Yeah.
and just maybe just as version as a sub command, right? So I actually I couldn't remember which one it was, right? So I just tried it for myself to see what like a beginner following a tutorial might see. When I ran Docker dash dash version, it worked, and I got a version number. I ran Docker version as a sub command, and it just hung and didn't do anything, and my shell session was gone. And like this is Imagine you've just gone through a boot camp and you're trying to follow a tutorial, right? The first thing it's going to say is you need Docker and you need this version of Docker. So this is not even step one of any DevOps
Right.
tutorial. This is step 0.
Right.
And we're dropping people into the deep end of a hung terminal that they may not even know enough about how shells work to get out of that and recover from the situation. And it's going to be super, super frustrating. And that frustration is discouraging.
I feel like you're kind of subtweeting Kubernetes.
A little bit. It's going to be less subtle in a minute.
Okay.
So this is kind of like how we learn. This is how we typically expect to learn a new skill, right? Is with safety nets and training wheels and iteration and like sort of layering on the knowledge one step at a time as we need it. And I think this is kind of how we learn DevOps, right? You'll get somewhere.
My life.
Yes.
That was me, 3 years ago.
Right, and it's like you in a directory full of YAML, and yeah. So I think, right, a lot of people who are trying, like I talk to a lot of friends and people in my network who are developers who want to learn some of this DevOps stuff, right? Like they want to learn Kubernetes, and they'll come to me and they'll be like, Josh, what should I learn first? Should I learn Terraform first? And I'm like, no, Terraform is awesome. I love it. I use it every day. Don't get me wrong, but like it's a lightsaber. And if you turn it on and you don't know what it's pointed at, you're going to cut a giant hole in your AWS bill. And like, that's no fun. So you need to understand what these tools are doing for you. You need to learn the things in the right order, right? So my hypothesis is kind of that we have all of this extra culture, baggage that is necessary in order to be a successful software practitioner, but that no one has ever really written down and is not even acknowledging that it's there. We're kind of pretending that you can just look everything up in the docs and teach it all to yourself. So let's get back to linguistics. What can we learn from linguistics to make this easier, right? So Stephen Krashen wrote this paper in the 80s. It's still very relevant today. These are the 5 hypotheses. So the acquisition and learning hypothesis, comprehensible input hypothesis, natural order hypothesis, the monitor hypothesis, and the last most important one, the effective filter hypothesis. I'll go through each one of these really, really, really quickly. Acquisition and learning, right? Basically, you need to combine book learning with practical experience. In order to build up your mental models, you need a little bit of both. One or the other just isn't as effective as combining both. In the field of sports and like martial arts and military training, there's this concept called EDIP, which is explain, demonstrate, imitate, practice. I think that's a great sort of encapsulation of this learning acquisition flow where you're going from theoretical knowledge and sort of building up a theoretical model of how the thing works, seeing it work in practice, imitating someone else using their forms, and then practicing sort of using the forms to achieve your own goal. And then you integrate that as a new, right? Like that is part of building up your mental model of the world, is sort of going through this process multiple times, right? So after I've done a deep dive on a project and I kind of understand the bigger picture better, I'll go back to the documentation that I read initially, and I'll understand it completely differently than I did the first time that I read it, because we're layering in this knowledge. This is the comprehensible input hypothesis, right? This is the one that sort of groups all of these together, but it's basically that we learn best when we're exposed to new inputs of size I+1, where I is already familiar concepts, right? And the number that you're trying to get I up to in DevOps is now just freaking massive. So it's we have these really, really big black boxes, right? And it's like a good practitioner knows when they need to open the black box and understand how it works versus when they just need to know how it fits into their other black boxes. But when everything is a black box to you, you don't even know which ones you need to open. And also filling in the blanks, right? So if any of you speak Spanish, don't answer. If you don't speak Spanish, can you tell me what caballete means? Yeah, didn't think so. All right, now can you tell me?
Is it the easel?
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So you're learning Spanish. Just you can only do it one word at a time instead of one sentence at a time, right?
I was confused because I was like, what does that have to do with a horse? Like, what is the painter doing with the horse in the studio?
I'm assuming the etymology is the same as like the construction horse stand.
Right, right. The sawhorse. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, So we can learn things when our brains can fill in the blanks when they have enough context, right? Um, all right, there's a natural progression for learning complex systems like languages. This is a tech tree to a really complicated video game. Uh, it's completely
Yeah.
overwhelming. I forget the name of this video game that I pulled this from, but yeah, people have told me that it has made them cry playing this, and yeah, it looks familiar though. Right.
Yes.
So I love this graphic, and I like this graphic is in so many people's presentations, and I love it, and it's a testament to the success of the CNCF, but it's
Mhm,
also completely overwhelming.
mhm.
And there's no map here that tells me where I need to start or like gives me a path through this, right? It doesn't. It's yeah, it's completely overwhelming. This is the tech tree from Civ 5. Everyone has to start with agriculture. I would argue, right, for DevOps, that's like Shell and Git, right? That's your basics that everyone needs to know because that's how you're going to interact with every other tool. And then there's not, a million different paths or 100 different paths. There are 4 paths that you can go from there. So like maybe you learn about containerization and virtualization, or maybe you learn about networking, or maybe you learn about a specific programming language, right? But you're not trying to learn all of the things. And eventually you're going to get to that complexity where you do understand how anything from that graphic might fit together. But you're going to get there right progressively. Um, okay, the monitor hypothesis. Oh, Chris, you're muted.
Sorry, I was it was killing me. That is the tech tree for Path of Exile 2. Fantastic game.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, thank you. Okay, great. Yes, so
It's,
I was
fantastic
trying to
game,
remember too.
overwhelming
I was
tech
like, I know
tree.
it's been hours.
it was killing me, and I apologize. I was listening, but I also
Yeah,
had to scratch that itch. I'm back.
yeah, no problem. No, please interrupt me. It's more fun.
Thanks for
Okay,
keeping him honest, Chris.
yes. Uh, Learners will self-correct, right? But if your feedback loops need to have sort of the right strictness level, right? So it's frustrating when you're learning a foreign language and nobody will correct you, and so you never get better because you're able to just be wrong, and people just are like, oh, he's so cute. We understand what he means, and it doesn't matter. With programming languages, it's the opposite. It's far too strict, right? It's you make one tiny little mistake, or you have one character off, or you didn't put that file in the right directory, or right, like you have some INI setting that was not set the same way as the person who wrote the tutorial. All of these little things can lead to an experience not unlike that right? Like the Docker version experience, where you just end up with no feedback or no comprehensible feedback from the tool. So we don't have ways for our monitors to get better, but that's what we need oh yeah, so sorry, I didn't explain what the monitor itself is. So monitor is sort of this thing that we have in our brain that it doesn't know the right form, but it knows when it sees the wrong form.
Mhm.
Um, so like you're about to say a sentence and you're like, I know this is wrong. And you need a certain amount of motivation, right, in order to sort of like push through that and say the wrong thing, which you have when you're learning a foreign language, because you need to communicate with people. So you're just going to accept being wrong and then sort of let people work with you. With programming languages, you might like let it hinder you, where you're just like, I know this is wrong, I don't know what the right thing is, and you don't have enough motivation to sort of like overcome that initial hurdle. So that can be challenging. And then the most important one is the effective filter hypothesis. So basically, our motivation, as I was just talking about, and the mood that we're in are the strongest filters on our ability to learn. So we're all going to be different from day to day, and we're going to learn better when we have a strong intrinsic motivation to learn, for a strong intrinsic reason for learning whatever it is that we're trying to learn. This is a quote from Hazel Weekly that I love to use in this talk. It's kind of right, like we're kind of like to your point, Chris. Like I'm subtweeting Kubernetes. I'm kind of talking about platform engineering too. Like we need to be compacting the stack, right? Rather than expanding the depth of that stack and just having more and more layers that people need to understand, and like being like, oh, if we just add one more abstraction layer on top of that, and then people can just understand that abstraction layer and they'll never need to dive deeper, that will solve all of the problems, right? Like, no, actually, we need to just start compacting the layers. We already did have this figured out once before, right? This was my first platform. It had everything I needed. It had CI/CD. It had observability. So let's make this fun, right? Like we don't have to make GeoCities again, but let's make this fun enough that like every 12-year-old can teach themselves.
Oh my gosh. You just
Isn't
dated yourself.
Yeah.
who doesn't love and remember Dreamweaver amongst us?
Mm,
That's how I built my
Awesome.
first website.
yeah. Mine was Angel
Amazing.
Fire.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think I'm going to ask what is the first. So all of this resonated with me. I
Yeah.
mean, all of these pieces, like the way that I learn best is by building on top of something else that I've already gotten exposure with. My start was in networking, and so I went from networking to networking operating systems together to learning about operating systems to then learning about like the applications that ran on those things, blah blah blah. So I always did the I+1 thing. So a bunch of different questions have popped up in my mind. One, is AI helping or hindering this? Two, what is the current golden path like for folks that are trying to do this nowadays? And you coming from a linguistics I+1 background seem to be uniquely positioned to be able to answer a couple of these different questions. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Okay, so sorry, let's go through those questions one by one. What was the first one was?
Okay, well, the first one is the obligatory AI question.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
When you're
So
talking, yeah, go ahead.
I, for me, I'm finding that AI is dramatically speeding up this process, right? Because like my eye is already large because I've been doing this for a long time.
Mhm.
So I have at least a superficial understanding of a lot of different concepts. And when I'm learning something new, that means I have a lot of like sort of structure on which to hang those new ideas.
Right.
And AI is just accelerating my ability to like bring in new relevant information and attach it to those structures, and be productive with it. I don't know if it's doing the same thing for beginners.
Whose eye
Yeah.
Um,
is smaller?
yeah, I really don't know because your eye, like, is your eye getting bigger if the AI is solving all of the problems for you and you don't understand how it solved the problem? Um,
I guess it would
and
depend upon how you're actually using it, because
Right.
the,
Yeah.
the, the way that I use it is I say, hey, explain this is my background, assume the role of a mentor and
right,
explain this to me, but use the Socratic method. Don't spoon feed me the answer. Ask me questions to get me to the right thing on my own. If they're using it like that, then they're enhancing their eye. If they're just saying,
yes,
just give
yes,
me the
exactly.
answer. Okay. I
And
see.
and so and getting
Yeah.
sources. That's the thing I think for beginners is gonna be the most challenging. And like when I'm researching topics that I know little about, I find the most challenging is I
Hmm.
need to ask it to cite sources and I need to go look at the original sources. Because even though it's hallucinations, maybe it's 2% of the time, it's like they're really wild sometimes still. And yeah. So you have to watch out for that.
Yeah,
If
because I
if
was gonna
you know,
say, oh, sorry, I was gonna say because what I've been noticing more and more is when I'm working with someone and I'm showing them, like, say, like the different tools that I'm using that are AI. I have years of experience of doing stuff, so I know what I'm doing because I had to, let's say, learn it the hard way, right? And then for someone who's new, one is either overwhelming or the tool's just not quite helping them get to what they're trying to get to because maybe they don't know what to ask it. Maybe they're not able to quickly spot, like I'm able to quickly spot and call out an AI tool. And I'm like, no, you're leading me down a wrong path. This isn't
yes,
right. But
exactly. You
it's
have the
because I
smell.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
with me with AI, I can boost my productivity by like 4 to like 10 times sometimes, right? Whereas I feel like as a beginner, maybe not, is what I'm kind of seeing when I'm like mentoring people.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe that sense of smell will be different, right, for the next generation of engineers. They'll right. I learned to be really really concise in my code, and now I'm learning that that works against me, especially as a if I have an AI typing for me, there's like not a lot of value in spending extra thought and conciseness anymore. Yeah, you have to know when it's just exactly.
Okay, so the next, and please do not let me,
Yeah.
but I know that
No,
I've
no, no.
spoken
This
too
is
much
great.
a lot. So Damien, Shala, if you guys have additional follow ups that you want to ask, please step on me because otherwise I'll just this I find like the concept of learning whether it's a language. I mean, learning DevOps is learning a new language. So it is practice, it is repetition, it is immersion in the thing that you're trying to pick up. There's a lot of corollaries between languages like Japanese, Spanish, English, whatever, and Go, Python, Terraform, all of that stuff.
Mhm.
So I find this entire field fascinating. Um, from the perspective of a small I person, um, how do they in 2025 when they say, okay, I want to be, when somebody comes to you and says, I want to get into DevOps, what do you say?
Well, Kubernetes is the operating system with the cloud now, right? So for better or worse, right? And I think there's a lot to complain about within Kubernetes, but there's also a lot to love within Kubernetes. But wherever you fall in that spectrum of loving it or hating it, it is the de facto operating system of the cloud, and it's something that you need to know if you're going to be in DevOps. Um, I, it's funny to me that there are now people who have entered this field and learned Kubernetes first without learning Linux first.
Right.
Right? Like that just kind of
That's
boggles my mind, but it's a
that's
thing.
wild. Yes. What do I do in this interactive terminal? Couldn't tell you.
Right.
Shell? Explain shell, please. Oh boy.
um, but yeah, so I think there are a lot of different paths to productivity. Um, and that's kind of awesome. I think you need mentorship, right? Like I think we need more of an apprenticeship model because you need someone who has developed those smells, right? Because it's not necessarily going to be the same tools that they learned when they were on this journey, but they're going to be able to tell you, like, yeah, this tool has legs. It's probably still going to be around in 2 years, and it's worth learning. Or right, like this one's too complicated. You don't need it yet. Start with something simpler. Right. So I think mentorship is really, really important. I think having
That's what helped me a lot.
yes.
And
Chris being
I
one of
would
those folks.
sorry. I would just like to point out that even our use of smells in this context, right? Like you have to know what a code smell is to understand what we're talking about. We're not talking
Right.
about actual odors, right? Like
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much culture embedded here. Yeah. It's
right, yeah.
Oh,
and
I thought
I've
you were
noticed at
alluding to the fact
conferences,
that I didn't use deodorant. Never mind.
like
I'm sorry.
even within this, it goes deeper, right? Like at a
Right.
conferences, you can have a conversation about observability that's completely foreign to people outside of that space, and same thing with security. And like security people drop acronyms. So I'm like, I don't know, but
Right.
yeah. Anyways, I forget where we were.
Um, uh, new person getting into
Oh,
this.
new person. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So mentorship, have a goal, have a concrete goal. Have something that you're trying to achieve or accomplish and make it really concrete. This is something I actually struggle with when I'm learning new things, is I kind of like keep expanding the scope based on I'm learning about all of these new concepts that are possible with a tool or technology. And I'm just like, oh, I should do this so that I can use this feature. I should do this so that I can use this feature. And it's like, no, I should just be like achieving a practical goal and doing that, right, and not forever expanding my scope and being that I think it's the next KCD comic, right, of the engineer with like 7 unfinished projects behind them, and they're like, oh no, but I discovered a new framework this week. Right, so combat that tendency, but have real projects. Don't worry, Chris, it's me too. It's me too.
And then sometimes I feel like a lot of times when people ask me something I think that gets slept on and skipped over, I say, before you even get going good, please write down like what is your why in the first place. So that way when you start to get overwhelmed or you feel like you're losing your path and you just don't remember why you're even doing it anymore, go back to your why and then you can like recenter your roadmap. Like I had to do that several times because I never thought it, like I keep telling people, I never thought about being a DevOps engineer. That was never in my plan, but I found myself being a DevOps engineer randomly one day. And I was like, wait, why am I doing this? And, my thing is, I love being out of my comfort zone. I don't know why I like chaos, but I do. I love a good old dumpster fire and I jump into it. So, once I remembered that, I was like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm the GIF with the dog in the fire. Everything's fine.
Mhm. Yep.
Yes.
This is fine. Mr. Carlson, I do not want to neglect you. Any questions from your perspective?
No, I was just making a snarky comment in the chat that my why is that kids just keep getting hungry
Yep, yep. I put
every freaking day, every
my why
freaking
is I
day.
like being employed. I like
Right?
money.
Yes, yes, yeah.
That's a
like,
strong motivator.
like, yeah. I'm hungry today. What about tomorrow? Yesterday, man, doesn't count.
I keep getting hungry. I do not know what's happening, and food requires money. It's so
Yep,
weird.
indeed, it
Hmm,
does.
hmm. All right. So, this is such a fascinating topic.
Yeah.
What other things like in the field of secondary linguistic study? What are the well, actually, why did you get out of it? This is a fascinating topic. I mean,
Because people were offering me a lot of money to make software.
you know what? That's God bless you. Good reason. Good
He
reason.
Yeah.
found his why.
Uh, uh, so
Accountability.
how have you seen the corollaries? My degree was in psychology, so there's 1,000 corollaries between what I do now and my background. What kind of corollaries are you finding, both from like the learning perspective, and how have you leveraged it to like increase your eye?
Mm. So it's interesting because I like people finding out that I had the linguistics degree and knowing what I do often ask like, "Oh, are you good at learning computer languages because you were good at learning foreign languages?" And there's like a whole bunch of misconceptions in there. Like first, studying linguistics doesn't necessarily mean foreign languages. I did do a lot of that, but that's just because I like that, not because it's necessary to study linguistics.
Hmm.
And then like I would sort of correct the misconception that computer languages are similar to to natural languages because that was sort of something they drilled home into us like freshman year. It's like written languages and constructed languages don't follow all of these rules that we're going to teach you about, and
Hmm.
so I kind of kept them separate in my mind, and then right like sort of they collided, and uh, I had the idea to give this talk and sort of started seeing those right like how
Mhm.
much actually, despite the fact that programming languages are these constructed things, there's all of this cult right there's this culture around them and around how we use them that
Right.
has just as much complexity as the natural languages. Um, so yeah, that's sort of I guess how my thinking on that has changed and where I'm now seeing connections that I wasn't maybe explicitly seeing before.
Hmm.
Um, how have I used it to increase my eye? Um, well, just knowing, right, like knowing the tricks that I went through in this. Um, so one of the things I'm working on now is just completing smaller projects, right? And this actually ties back to the AI stuff too, right? The AI is really bad. If I'm just like, hey, Claude, build me a whole application and I'm going to come
Right.
back in 4 hours, garbage, right?
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
I sit there and babysit it, it does better. But then if I actually take the time to think through and break the overall task down into smaller tasks and then work with an AI on each one of those smaller tasks, I get even better results.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm kind of that's something that I've been focused on is just even though my eye is large, making the plus one even smaller, as small as I can.
Nice. I did love that tech tree analogy because I always liked like the StarCraft tech tree because it started off simple and then got super complex. When you start off in the middle of something like that, you immediately get overwhelmed. And when you said that, and I remember playing Path of Exile, and I was literally so I've been playing with this DevOps mentor that I created for a talk, and I was messing with it the other day, and I just said, okay, well, let me just use it as an end user instead of as a person trying to guide the prompts for it and everything. And I also immediately then got overwhelmed with like all the things that it was throwing at me. So I had to, as an end user, I was like, oh, whoa, way too much. So then I went back into the prompt engineering of the agent itself and said, baby step this, much smaller, concrete things. Give people a 1 week task plan, not like 3 hour, not an hour a day or whatever
Don't
like
write
that.
a novel. Yeah.
Give
Right.
them give them three things that they got to do that week, regardless of how many hours it takes or whatever like that. Give them three things to just chip away at, little bit, and that worked way better for my brain. And then you had this talk. I was like, son of a bit, yeah, it's exactly is literally I was doing this week. So
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like one of my favorite things that I came across once was how someone explained about how when it comes to babies, that we should start maybe doing like we do, like you see babies do when they're learning how to walk. they, fall down and all these kind of things. Just, they don't get frustrated and just stop. They keep working at it until they get it. They focus on that one thing, get really good at it, and then they go to the next thing where it's like, okay, I got crawling down. Okay, I'm walking. Okay, now I'm ready. Versus a lot of times as adults, we try to multitask, which I'm starting to learn doesn't exist. Our brains aren't really designed for that. We're just switching context really fast, driving ourselves crazy. And yeah, just focus on one thing, get really good at it, and then move on to the next thing. And it's
Yeah.
much more peaceful for me personally.
But you hit on a really important point there, which is that I missed in my talk, which is the freedom to fail, right? When you're learning,
Yeah,
getting through that motivation to like break through the monitor that says you're wrong, you have to have the freedom to fail, or it's so hard to learn.
So we do have a question from the audience, Nikhil, and I think using your linguistics 80%, I think I'm grokking this. How fresher can get jobs in DevOps US market? And I think a fresher is a person that is new to DevOps potentially. And I
That's
think
how
what
I
they're
would interpret
asking
that.
is how does a person new to the DevOps how do people that are new to DevOps get into the US market today? And let's take 2025 out of it for one hot second, just because right now everything's on fire. Just like broad spectrum advice.
Broad spectrum advice, and I'm assuming this person's not already a developer. They're sort
They
of
are
new
a
to the field.
CS student. Nikhil
Oh,
said
okay,
that, says
okay,
that he is a
okay,
CS student.
okay. I see. Um, I mean, networking has worked for me. Like I'll say I've not in my entire career gotten a job by like going on LinkedIn and applying for a cold job where I didn't know anybody who already worked there and then getting hired. Like that's just not something that happens in my experience. So networking is really important. I know from a study I read that like something like 6% of people in the engineering field have like the personality type that is the type of person to go to conferences and to host podcasts and sort of like just naturally wants to do those kinds of things. So for the other 94%, like you have to get over that and do a little bit of it, right? Like even if you only
Yeah.
go to one or two conferences a year, it's a great chance to meet people. And then those people, right, like that's your network that they know who's hiring and who's going to be a good fit for you and who you're going to be a good fit for. So it's a much faster path than trying to just cold contact companies on the internet.
Yeah. Repeat that stat again. 6% of people are what now?
It was a specific personality type, right? And this report was breaking everyone down into these different personality groups.
Okay.
But this specific personality group is the type of person who is likely to sort of explore new technology.
Us four specifically.
Yes, probably
Sure.
all of us belong to this group.
Yes.
Explore new technologies, right? Like, so we're the people who never finish anything because we're always trying out the new framework,
Check.
right? So they're negative to it also, right? Yeah, and tend to like sort of be outgoing and sort of looking for discovery opportunities, and then bringing that information back to their teams, right? And being like, hey, this is what's going on at the conferences, or I was watching this webinar or this podcast. Yeah, hundreds or thousands of resumes for job
yeah.
postings. Right. It's you need to know someone at this point. It's like nepotism is the only thing that works, and that was already true, and now it's even more true with AI.
Ironically, it's more true now that AI is here and nepotism.
Yeah.
It's not who
Yeah.
you know in Skynet. It's who you know in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And even though it might seem like it's slower to cultivate personal relationships, it has a much higher rate of return than just cold applications.
Yeah.
I
I
can
started my
100% attest to that.
Yeah.
I started my career as a freelancer, and I think one of the last contracts I did was for someone that I met through my very first client that I ever worked for in my career, and so that came around right back before I entered full time employment, more than 10 years later.
Nice. Cool. Okay. So Nikhil said, thanks, Chris and Josh. Daryl has had a lot of comments, but no specific questions. This is a fascinating topic, and we could go all night with it, but we are getting close to the end of our time tonight. So I just wanted to make sure that Shala, Damien, was there anything that from I mean, this is one of those fascinating things that I could literally like hang out with you at a bar for like 8 hours and talk about this kind of stuff
Same.
because it's so salient. Like literally, I'm spending I was at the gym on the elliptical doing a Go class because I'm trying to beef up my Go language, but all of the constructs in the class that I was in, I would have had zero context if I had not already known Python.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
immediately jumped into some like, okay, in this language you've got an array, excuse me, a list. In Python, it's a list, but in Go, it's a slice, and an array is something else. It's a fixed length thing. And I was like, oh, if I didn't know Python, I'd be screwed right now.
Right.
And I feel really, I feel really bad.
That brings up another good point, though, right? Like in programming, there's sort of right. There's one, two, or many.
Yeah,
Um, and
Mhm.
with languages, I think it's like one or many. So if you can get past that first hump, and this is true with natural languages, definitely, but I think it's also true with programming languages, right?
mhm,
Like once you sort of have learned two languages, the third and the fourth and the fifth are so much easier,
yeah.
Yeah.
because it is just you're just flicking
Syntax.
binary switches. Like does it this way, does it this way? Yeah,
But yeah, especially if it's a C-based language, because that's like the romance languages of programming, right? Like
yes, exactly. I've
you
not
can
heard
kind
that
of
Agree,
before,
figure
but
it
I love
out.
Brandon.
it.
Well, I just kind
Agree.
of made it up, I think, but yes.
I genuinely feel kind of bad for the kids these days. I'm going to shake my
Right.
fist at the cloud for a second. The folks that are learning technology now have so many layers of abstraction. So like we built our own gaming rigs. We know how motherboards are wired together and NICs and how networks and things communicate. Nowadays, you can swipe a credit card and have all of this stuff provisioned for you in such an abstracted way that you can pick at the edges of it, but you don't know it like deeply and fundamentally the way that somebody
Yeah.
that crawled around in a data center for a couple of years does. So I'm watching the new batch of kids that are coming to conferences and everything, and sometimes when I ask them a question, they just blank. Like, what's your redundancy on your back end disks? I think it was you, Josh. We said RAID array at Red Hat, and somebody like, what the hell are you talking about? Was that you?
I don't think I was there, but yeah, I could believe that happened. Yeah.
I said RAID array or SCSI or something like that,
Oh
and they're like,
no.
what is this new technology you speak of, Grandpa? And I'm like,
It's not.
kiss my ass.
And to be fair to them, they don't know if it's something new that they
They
just haven't
don't.
heard of yet, or
Right.
right, like
Right.
because yeah, because the eye is massive, or the gulf between the eye and the knowledge is massive. Yeah.
And it's I mean, once a VMware started virtualizing all of those bits of hardware, and then we started virtualizing the virtualization, and then we created Docker layers on top of that, and then we started there's so many turtles stacked up on top of each other nowadays that you can start way up here and never reach the bottom.
Yeah.
There's so much that, dear viewer, is why there are no junior SREs.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's turtles all the way down.
Right. Yes. 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 It's just DevOps.
And even that phrase is something from the zeitgeist. Turtles all the way down goes back to the VMware days.
Right.
Yes,
Oy.
can't get away from it.
All
Yeah.
right.
Daryl has another good point. So many people work remote now. I feel, you know, glad to be someone who did work in the office because that helps a lot when you're trying to do a new field and things like that versus working remotely. Like working remotely hits different. Working remotely for me is okay because I've done my time in the office and I think that's helped me a lot. But
Right.
a lot of people that I know who's like new to the field and is remote, it hits them hard. It makes it a little bit difficult because you don't
Right.
have that, you don't get to build that relationship
That's
like
why I
the
give a little
same.
bit of grace to the folks that like are very like the companies that are demanding RTO. You have to take a look at like the employee landscape, because
Yeah.
if it's a bunch of young kids that haven't gotten their licks in, don't have their battle scars. I mean we can do this from home all day long with with a cup of coffee and a nice comfy robe, but with having a small Josh, I think I'm onto something here. Some form of measurement to measure your eye for a given layer of expertise, and that dictating whether or not you are in the office or not.
I've wanted to build this, right? So there's all these GitHub repos with like resources, and most of them
Mm,
are sort of omnibuses where they just gather anything relating to the topic that they have.
mhm. Okay.
I would love to build one of these collaboratively with the community that is organized in a learn this before this, right? So
Let's
like
talk. Let's talk about that.
yeah,
Let's talk
here's
about this
exactly
after the
how
show.
much Docker you need to do Kubernetes, right?
I
And then
would
here's where
love to be a
you
part
can
of
keep
that.
going down this path, but here's how far you need to go to get it to here.
Yes. The to use a gaming term, how much of the game do you have to download before you can start playing it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't have to get to 100%, but you got to get to 80% before you can get to the loading screen.
So Chris, I just threw this in Discord, but for the benefit of everyone else out there, my mom texted me, and her text effectively
Mom.
in Damien speak was, "Oh hell yeah, Chris." So yeah, there you go.
All right.
Aw.
She
Mom
was like,
approved.
"Preach."
Making
Yeah,
it to the moms of vBrownBag. I love it.
oh yeah, yep.
Cool.
But yeah, like to your point, that knowledge gap is growing. It's not shrinking, right? And
And
it's
it's getting bigger every day. Like
you know,
the agent core crap that came out today, I couldn't even keep up with the announcements today. It's ridiculous.
but it's not just this stuff, right? Like COBOL exists and still runs the world, and
Yep.
it if you want a solid job, COBOL right there. You heard it from me, right? Like it sucks, but
Get that
you'll
money,
get
kids.
paid. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
You and three other fossils will be running the world at a half a million a month.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like
Cobalt.
that knowledge gap has grown and wasn't backfilled, and technology's moved on, and that's a very real one because that was so heavily utilized that it's still in place. My
During
wife works for a software
Y2K.
company that builds on COBOL, a
Wow.
modern software company in 2025, and it runs COBOL.
Dude, during Y2K, COBOL developers were printing money.
Yeah, yeah.
People forget 1999 and how much people. Yes, you give me all of your GDP for your company, and I will make sure it doesn't explode on, on
Yeah,
January 1st.
yeah,
Oh, that was a time.
Good times. All right.
yeah.
Let's do the drawing real fast. Josh, you don't know this, but we have a drawing that we do at the end of every show. And I hit the giveaway tool shuffle button, and we figure out who has been contributing to the chat gets the $50 in AWS compute credits for the day. Oh, and the winner is me. Hold on, I got to draw again because I contributed to chat, and it never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
It's a very simple script.
Hey, look, there Bash is awesome. That's all I have to say.
And the winner is share my screen, window, entire screen. The winner is R. Daryl IR. Congratulations.
Yay.
I believe you won before in the past, so you probably already have all of my contact information. Daryl, ping me on LinkedIn, and I will get you your code for the week. Congratulations, good sir. All right. Huzzah! Yay, team. All right. Josh, anything that you wanted to plug, or any like open source things that you're working on, anything that you love at your company
Yes.
that you want to get people excited about?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for asking. So we just launched in April what we're calling Project Antalya. So there's a lot. For those who aren't familiar with ClickHouse, Altinity is a company that offers hosting and support for ClickHouse, which is a massively scalable analytics database. Typically, it runs on local SSDs that are part of your nodes, and you need to have a bunch of them. We launched basically an integration between it and S3 object storage that's fully open source. So you can run it anywhere, run it on Raspberry Pis, run it in AWS, right, and keep all of your data or keep your archived data on S3 on object storage really, really cheaply. It's called Project Antalya. It's awesome. We're looking for C++ contributors, and we would love to have just people testing it out and giving us feedback and creating issues on the GitHub repository. We're building this very, very much in the open. And then the other thing that I have to plug is the Open Source Analytics Festival and the Open Source Analytics Conference. So the festival is happening July 31st in San Jose at IBM's offices. Thank you. And it's just going to be an evening. PrestoDB will be there. I believe there's going to be another database, and we're just going to be kind of talking about databases. There will be a series of lightning talks, and then time for sort of general group discussion. Food and drinks should be fun. And then the Open Source Analytics Conference is online in November, and the CFP is still open, I believe, for another 2 weeks. So if you're interested in speaking at that, go to osacon, osacon.io, and submit to the CFP, and I will review your talk.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Cool.
And I will get those links from you offline, and we will add that to the show notes so that when we publish this for the edited version, all of that information will be there for the viewers.
Perfect.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Josh, thank you so much for coming on. I love talks like this because it helps me to learn better. We're all in the process of jamming as much information into our heads as quickly as humanly possible, and any kind of like cheat codes or hacks that we get are things that we can leverage. So,
yeah,
love having you on.
My absolute pleasure.
Shala, anything that you wanted to talk about? Damien, anything that's going on in your world that you wanted the viewers to know about?
No, just continue being kind to each other.
Yeah, take care of yourselves. Again, shout out
Yeah.
to the folks who reached out to me because, again, yes, I know I ghosted y'all. I'm sorry, but I'm back.
It's
Self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good work.
Yeah.
I am glad that you're back, but self-care. All right, folks. Well, everybody else, have a wonderful evening, and we will see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.